Mark Leidner and Stan. How you doing? I'm Mike. I'm Janelle, and then Chris Larson.
Let's go, Lides.
Thanks, Ruth. And Zach. I have a cold, so if these aren't funny, that's why. I got H1 and 2. This poem is called, it was called What's Cool, but I changed it today. What's cool changes. Probably 9/10 of people mistakenly believe they're cool. They probably believe themselves to be part of some sort of cool movement. They think that what they think is cool really is cool. But I've got news for them. It's not. It's incredibly lame. And what's lamer than somebody thinking they're cool when they're not? Not only is that thing that they think is cool lame, but that in itself. Thinking you're cool when you're lame is lame. It's the lamest thing of all. The irony is, I imagine the lamest person in the world thinks he's not only cool, but is the coolest, believing himself to be the very essence of cool. And for a moment, the irony of that is cool. How he thinks he's so cool, yet is so lame. Not for long, though. Even now, that irony is already becoming lame. Wait a moment. Now it is fully lame. So that anyone still thinking that was cool by this point, even though they were very cool at the beginning for thinking it, and the first person to think it was briefly the coolest of all, now they are all very lame. And if the first person is still holding on to the coolness of that, and you know he is, then he's the one time is made the biggest fool of, because his luck or skill at being first to think something that was briefly cool to be cool has brought him nothing but the shackles. Shackles in the form of an overpowering urge to hold on to something long after its coolness is spent, earning him the dubious distinction, lamest of all. What people don't realize is what's cool changes. It's a moment-to-moment, day-to-day proposition. And only the people who realize this are cool. However, as soon as that is said, what's truly cool becomes permanent again. So that only those people who believed in the permanence of coolness all along, are in the end redeemed. Soon, however, even that will change. It has already. Now those and only those who believe that what was originally cool is still cool, but not really, and are willing to alter their entire belief structures to keep pace with what's cool as it changes, are in the end, and all alone, completely cool.
Sucked.
No, it was cool.
Yeah, man, that's cool.
It was so lame, it was cool. This is called The Night of a Thousand Murders. The Night of a Thousand Murders began no differently than any other night in the village. The villagers put their children to bed, then watched television for an hour or two, then went to bed themselves. Then, in the middle of the night, there were 1,000 murders. Charismatic ambulance driver. It's World War II. I'm a charismatic ambulance driver. You made me French toast, and when you set the plate down, you kissed my neck, and I just stare and stare at you. We're tilling a field in Poland when the clouds break open, and we throw down the reins of our plows and make love in the wind and the mud, while the mules, mute, look on. You're about to take a spacewalk. I stop you in the airlock by calling out your name, and as you spin around to face me, your hair splays out in the absence of gravity. Not without this, I say, handing you your helmet. It's Texas, and somehow you've tricked me into attending a bake sale. We're out in the desert, resting in the shade a small cliff is creating. and you gently pat my stomach and ask me if I'm gay. We're driving through Atlanta, and it's the end of the world. And you point out the window, and I follow the curl of your arm and the line extending from your finger to the moon, and the moon is full and on fire. You're panicking because you can't remember the meaning of nonchalant, but I'm massaging your shoulders, whispering, "It's what you are." You catch the flu, but you refuse to blow your nose because you're scared of looking sick. I finally get you to blow it by offering you $5. When you do, the most beautiful music comes out. I call you sport, and you get a funny look in your eye and say, "Don't call me that." You split our bread into 2 parts, the crust and the center, and you give me the crust. I finally say, "I'm leaving you. All you ever gave me was a wretched crust." And you look up at me, tears brimming in your eyes, and say, "But the crust was always my favorite part." We're trying to purchase a car, and you're heavy with child, and we're test driving a small coupe, and I take a corner too fast, and your water breaks. And you tap me on the shoulder and say, "My water just broke." And I say, "Is it okay to drive this car to the hospital? It's not ours yet, you know." We end up getting a different coupe. You ruined that one. It's called Memoirs of a Secret Agent. Once when I was undercover, my contact in the NSA was this cocky black guy with scars all over his face. And one day I was feeling insolent, so I called him Scarface to his face. After he'd given me orders over the video phone, like, "Yeah, I got this mission under control, Scarface." He eyed me for a second and hung up. He didn't seem impressed. Anyway, looking back, I wish I would have said Scars Face. With a plural on scars. Because he had multiple scars on his face, not just one. Also, I wish he would have had multiple faces to match his multiple scars, so that what I should have called him could have been Scars Faces. Hypothetically rocking the double plural for once in my life. Later on during the mission, I was shooting drug lords in the cavern. In a cavern which was really just this vast subterranean complex of corridors and laboratories full of scientific looking things, though it did still have stalactites hanging from the ceiling. And accidentally some of my fire struck a cast iron pipe running above and behind the heads of the drug lords, which ruptured, generating steam and gushing undulations, billowing down and around everything and filling the cavern. The drug lords were dead, but the steam kept coming from the bullet hole in the pipe. And as I watched the patterns forming in the steam, I forgot who I was and what I was doing, until suddenly it struck me. What if that NSA contact guy had only had a single scar, but many faces? Like, he had only one scar, but it was in the exact same place on each of his faces. And if he had all these faces, each with the exact same scar in the exact same place, what should I have called him then? Scar faces, where the scar is singular, or scars faces, where the scars are plural. It lasted a really long time, staring into that effusion of steam, thinking that. Also, I remember thinking, whatever drugs these drug lords are selling, their manufacture sure requires a lot of steam. Later on, I was trading quips with a beautiful woman named Gabrielle, who used to be the mistress of the main drug lord, but who is now good during the car chase. She was in the passenger seat, and I was telling her to use a rocket launcher in her lap to shoot the rear half of the car off, so that it would spin away, blocking the car of drug lords chasing us like a spinning, fiery roadblock, while she and I slid to safety in the front half of the car into this massive bank of snow we were quickly approaching. And she goes, "What? Are you crazy?" And I said, without even taking my eyes off the road, "Yes." But while all that was going on, still I couldn't stop thinking about what I should have called Scarface if in a different world he would have had multiple faces. Later, after the mission was a success, Gabrielle and I were lying around in our hotel room in the Caymans, revealing our secret identities to each other when the video phone on the table began to ring and rattle. It was Scarface. He was trying to tell me about this other second mission that I had to go on now that I was done with this one. And while he's going on and on, Gabrielle's behind me trying to pull me back in the bed, calling me a workaholic, saying hadn't I earned a holiday? But I was tuning her out because I was watching Scarface. I was watching her behind me and sort of slyly winking at me and nodding. But while he was doing that, I crossed my eyes about halfway so that I saw a host of Scarfaces spread across the video phone. In that moment, I decided that what I should have called him would have been indeterminate blur of scars and faces, like a Native American name. Yeah, waved him off. I'll get to that other mission later. First, I have to make love to my former enemy here. Gesturing to Gabrielle, then back to him. Indeterminate blur of scarred faces. I let my eyes refocus as I closed the video phone and unplugged it from its charger. Because it was fully charged already, and I heard that with certain high-end electronics, the device is fully charged, and you leave it plugged into its charger, that could damage the battery and lower the overall lifespan of the device. Then I turned around where Gabrielle lay naked, smiling and spread-eagled, and I climbed back into bed, hesitantly, though only as a joke because she was so beautiful. But she didn't laugh. I doubt she could have, even if she wanted to. Not for a lack of sense of humor, she had a good one. It was just that our romance had been brewing for so long. She was too ready for love to laugh. So then I made love to her, and did so with a clear, unmuddled mind. Although, perhaps she was the one who made love to me. It's difficult to say who makes love to whom in these times. Thank you. It's called Yellow Rose. When it snows, I get a boner. Whenever those tornadoes on the news lay those colonies of mobile homes to waste, I get a boner. Drought, bushes shrivel, fruit wizens, lawns brown, boner. Whenever I encounter the presence or the absence of a woman, or apprehend the field and silhouette of her smell, when one pronounces apricot, or foliage, or cream, or barge, or if I dream one does, a boner's got. If lightning sizzles in the clouds above the steeple of a Catholic cathedral, and the thunderclap batters the bells, sitting on the bus, overhearing garbled rap pump out of white dude's iPod, being able to recognize the rapper by the beat alone, or not at all, but getting a boner. The way the sun came through the window, prismatized by smears of grease, bonfiring a winter afternoon, shook the memory of snot-like glue on an otherwise beautiful woman's lip loose. How old are you? When will anything change, if ever? And at what age do normal men mature? I wonder this and get a boner. Yet there are still some things that do not give me a boner. The level of tranquility a jeep of body bags achieves, jostling off along a twisting gravel path, bound for home, the bracing red and white flags, crisply creased, handed over, faces ceasing to exist the moment they come into being. while a bomb is blowing up their neighborhood. People being shot like dogs, like nothing. Nothing slumping on the ground. Nothing blood is just a pool around. War in general, and in particular, the current one. I am against the current war the most, because while it unfolds, I live and love, I suppose. But who could possibly care what I have to say about this war? I could say anything here, it wouldn't matter. I could say, I am Motor Trend Car of the Year. Or, you are the yellow rose, corkscrewing out of the slippery rocks that gird the river of black water. I have seen 1,000 moons wax and wane to completion since we last touched.
Yay!
Maybe just 2 more. New grocery strategy. In order to keep my life from spiraling out of control, I now only let myself go grocery shopping when I've exhausted everything I have to eat. So last night when I had run out of all my healthy choice meals, all the ingredients for cabbage stew, all the ingredients for burritos, and all the ingredients for spaghetti, and I opened the refrigerator and all there was an inch of skim in the quart, half a bag of celery, and then I opened the cupboard and there sat a single lonely can of generic baked beans. Well, that's what I ate. I hate baked beans. Why did I buy them? Too bad. I chopped the celery up and stirred it into the pan, along with the last of the milk. Overall, it wasn't a very good supper. But today I'm glad I did it. Because tonight when I go to the store, I'll know exactly what and how much to get. Simplify, baby. Then I'm going to try to buy the exact combination of groceries that will last me exactly 2 weeks. And instead of running out half of the important shit halfway through, I'm going to run out of everything, all at once, on the last meal of the last night. I'm calling this strategy playing it to the bone. I think it's a good name, and I like saying it to myself. Last night when I was taste testing a spoonful of the celery and beans, I swear to God, I was this close to pouring the whole steamy mess in the trash and driving to the store for some real food. But then I was like, no, not in this house. In this house we play it to the bone.
Serious. Be serious.
Funnily
All right.
serious.
Alright, this is the last one. It's called The River.
Yeah.
The woman told me the saddest thing I'd ever heard. I told her I loved her because of what she had told me. Her expression soured. She warned me not to love her for her telling me that. She told me it was okay, and maybe even good to love her, only not for that. I responded that I did not love her for that exactly. She misunderstood me. I admitted that why I loved her was related to what she had told me, yes, but only tangentially. Was that alright? She asked me to elaborate, so I told her that I loved her not for the things she had told me, but for the courage involved in telling someone something like it. Something that sad, which seemed to me to be a great deal of courage. And I also told her I loved her, though far less than for the courage part, although plenty still, for the way in which she told it to me, which I explained had been, in all seriousness, eloquent and mesmerizing. She had a small build, and at that point she laughed like a flower, wilting and blooming. Her nose was in the center. I decided to show her the river. I picked her up in my hands and carried her, crisscrossing back and down through the steep and elaborate cragwork of the slope of the riverbank. When my feet were finally in the water, I looked at her and said, "The river is deep and fast, and it drowns many people, but I still love it. I still love the river," I told her. "But I do not love it because it is deep and fast and drowns many people. I love it because it runs behind my house, and I have lived above it forever." Thank you.